Let's go.
All right, we're here. That's we're good. What?
Yeah. Oh, I have no sound.
Try,
What do you
try.
mean I
Yeah,
have
you
no
should be.
sound?
You should be good. You should be good.
We can hear you well.
Okay. Aaron said that I have no sound.
Yeah.
No way.
Everything. We're good.
It was Cody's fault,
Yeah,
huh?
it was my fault. I got it. I got it. I fixed the fault.
Okay, perfect. So another TROM-Cast. This time it's about social credits. So anyone can join this TROM-Cast, and I will share on tromsci.com/live the link to join to Jitsi Meet. And you can also watch us live on YouTube, and we also post them on Trom site, all of the TROM-Casts. So you can see there, we stream from Internet Archive. And yeah, so this time we're going to talk about social credits, and if anyone wants to join to talk about it, then yeah, go on tromsci.com/live and you'll see there the details. And yeah, I think Dima chose the subject. So Dima, if you want to explain what's up with the social credits, why aren't they so good? I think they are great.
Yeah, it's an amazing invention for for a good shepherd. Yeah, so basically the idea about this TROM-Cast came to me. I can hear myself back. I don't
It's
know.
Tio.
Okay. Yeah, idea for the topic of the TROM-Cast came after I watched documentary on the social credits, and I also remember, like Theo, you was mentioning this social credits like numbers of times, especially in China. So it's the thing is, it's kind of punishment reward system. It's promoted as a reward system, but actually it's kind of also punish people for not behaving well. And what it does, it's basically like a game. So you have to get a score. The higher score you get, the better citizen are you. So it analyzes your purchases. We're speaking about China now, so it's I'm not sure 100% is it implemented in all over the China or in some regions. I don't know if you guys know that. But the thing is, you have to get score. I think it was like 750. It's maximum for your like social behavior. So they analyze your purchases. They look if you're working or if you're not working, if you're unemployed or on benefits, so your score going down. If you're buying alcohol or something, your score going down. If you're political activist, your score going down. If you express your ideas or in any format, in any form against the current government, your score going down, and stuff like that. If you're on top of the scale, you've got some kind of discounts in the shops. You've got less percentage on the mortgage and credits, and basically it's like a discount mainly, or some advantages in some places. If you're going down, it's getting more interesting. Right now in China, if you have low score, you cannot get any kind of credits. That's one thing. Another thing, which is weird, you cannot even travel away from your town, not even country, because you just cannot like physically buy a ticket. Whenever you buy something, they've got your score. Like, what is your social credit number? If it's low, they just not allow by the law to sell you the ticket. And yeah, so the same, the persons who are on the lower part of this score, which have like really low score, they cannot find a job at the end. Also, they have difficulties finding a job because like employer will check your social score and see, okay, it's low, and it's just won't give you. So yeah, and it's getting really hard for the some persons, especially for those who, let's say, have been in jail or are political activists, as there was one main character in the movie. He was against the regime in China, and that's why, of course, his score is the lowest he could get. And right now, he couldn't find a job. He couldn't travel away from like anywhere. And yeah, and it's getting very more stricter and stricter, and the restrictions are getting there, and system become more wider and stuff like that.
I remember when I was doing the research for the origin of most problems. It was almost like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and these social credits were something like I could barely find information about. Not even on Wikipedia. I had to go to some websites and translate some stuff. And now they have become so popular in a sense, at least in terms of like the people hearing about them. More and more are making articles, are making videos about them, and it's quite an interesting thing because it's not, in a way, it's not something that new, because governments will do that with, for example, safety nets, or for example, all kinds of money that they give you from the government if you fit some criteria. If you, let's say, you are unemployed, but you also like, let's say you are married, some may ask you are not married, they look up for all kinds of things. And I feel like China went a bit more not on digital, but a bit more aggressive, and with scoring points that are so obvious and so integrated into the daily life that I think the biggest platforms there that people used to pay, people used to rent stuff, they integrate the social credits, so they reach a broader, probably audience in a way. But I think the core idea here to score people in terms of what they do and so forth is not that new. But I think what they are trying to do now is becoming not only new in the sense that they push it so hard through so many platforms, but also a bit more aggressive, I feel like. Hey, Sophie.
Yeah, it's growing. Hi, Sophie. What's interesting also to notice that some persons actually see it as a good thing, when they've got some discounts and benefits, when they act as a good citizens, they see some advantages and they kind of defend this. But it's like, for me, it seems so weird to realize that some people are actually okay with that. But they are okay with that until they're on the top of the scale. It's like, like the rich people okay with the capitalism as long as they're on the top of the pyramid. So
yeah, it was interesting how
that's
actually
interesting.
yeah, in that short documentary that you sent, how the lady who was okay with the social credits, she was also kind of seeing it, and surveillance in general, she was also kind of seeing it as a way to keep the society safer.
Yeah.
So so it's like control all the bad people.
Yeah. We really have to afraid of the bad people.
They always have this excuse, but if you look at everything, like since they implemented this kind of terrorism freak out kind of like attitude in all countries, I posted so many documentaries in the last Origin of Most Problems book that it's not efficient. Even when they track those terrorists down, like several terrorists, they were actually on their lists and they were tracking them, and they were like knowing, like reading their messages and so forth, but they still couldn't predict. And look at in US, it's a shooting here, a shooting there. It's difficult to predict anything in terms of such things. And on the other hand, it's like put it in balance. Even if you predict some things like that, is it worth it to make all of the population put it under this kind of pressure and in this blanket of Big Daddy? It looks at you, whatever you do, where you go, all of this shit is self-polluting. It's amazing to me that people are okay with this idea.
Yeah, because again, like
governments. Sorry.
go on, sir.
No, I was just gonna add that governments and whatever other like massive institutions today use all these issues as an excuse in order to implement more policies and surveillance schemes, in order to collect more data about the public, and then they sell that off to big companies and market things and make it for poor people to get ahead and make it easier for rich people to maintain their position. And it's the same in the United States. They're also like, or in Europe and everywhere, they're also like credit scores. So people have like different scores that allows them to rent to get like more money from the bank, and other people are not allowed to get shit from the bank. So it's kind of the same thing, but of course in China it's just done much more transparent and aggressive, and yeah.
What's really worries me is that people don't have a choice. It's like you cannot, just skip this program and not to participate, as long as you're like citizen in any country, and each country has some certain degree of this social, I don't know how it would call, like social obligation. So what should you do? What should you pay? What shouldn't you? And you cannot kind of skip. So recently I've got into similar situation, and so I'm living in Germany, and here is compulsory health insurance. So I wasn't really aware about it, because I thought like, okay, if I'm not working, then I don't need it, I just don't pay, and that's fine. But then it's like by the law, a person cannot live without it, without this insurance, and it's not cheap, really. So I've been like out of the work for more than 3 months, and I received a bill when they say just send me a letter saying that they don't have any data on me since I left working, because while you work you kind of pay automatically. It's like deducted from your taxes, so you're not aware about it that much anyway. So they counted, they don't have any data of me, that I'm unemployed, and they don't know my income. So they counted I have to pay them 800 euros for each month I was without insurance. So like, even if you don't have insurance, you have to pay for that. And there was a situation that my wife, she needed to go to hospital, but didn't have the insurance, and we go to insurance company and ask, and if we go to the hospital, they say you can, but like you don't pay for the insurance, so you have to pay to the doctors for a visit, which is also like extremely expensive. They made it so expensive here, so it's like, even if you pay like 800 euros a month, if you're have some health issues, it's really cheaper than to go to like doctors, because like single visit could be like few hundreds
like
of
in the
euros.
US.
Yeah. So, and they said no, like you can go to doctor, but you have to pay. At the same time, I'm paying for the insurance I don't have, and that's like pissed me off. But so I have to fill a lot of papers, and then to prove that I don't earn any money. And they, in this case, they say I have to pay like almost 200 euros each month now. And I have to pay for those months, which I wasn't insured for those 3 months too. So it's like 600 euros now. So the thing is, what is really scares me is that you don't have a choice, like, and that's like social credit system is totally the same. They just put you in a situation when you don't have a choice. And when you have a choice, we don't speak about liberty or even democracy, which is like proposed so much by all the politicians and everyone. And imagine, okay, it's just a health insurance, just one example, but imagine if you cannot like find a job if your social credit is low, and how can you get out of this cycle? So
yeah, you can finish.
I think I've lost my idea.
I was just gonna say that, I mean, the problem here is that basically they're giving you only one type of kind of life that you can live. That you're supposed to be this normal citizen who has a job and went to university, has a job, gets married, has kids, and this is your life. You have to have a job. This entire like global society is obsessed with this idea of having a job. Like you cannot just live on the fucking earth without having a job. And this kind of system, you think China is bad, but these other countries are not really that much better. We just don't really, they're just not so obvious. So this kind of system, that makes you pay for insurance and charges you like $800 a month, that's going to make you have a job. So you can't just say, oh,
Yeah.
I would just want to live on my savings, or I just want to live on a little bit of money, because I don't want a lot of money and I don't need a lot of money. I want to live like a minimalist lifestyle. But you can't do that if you have to pay 800 euros a month for health insurance. Then you have to have a job. You have to try to make more and more money, and in the end, that's going to make you become, they're going to push you to become more and more of a consumer. And that's how the whole system functions.
Yeah, exactly. It's great what you said, Sasha. I just wanted to say that exactly in the same words. It's like they kind of push you back into the system, like, oh no, don't don't spend too much. You shouldn't have too much free time. So like by doing that, they forced me now to earn more money, because I thought, okay, I'm fine. I don't make much. I don't want to make much. I've got enough. But now, like each month, I have to count 200 extra, euros for myself right now.
Maybe because most people fit into this normal kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not bothered by it. Yeah.
They're not that bothered, maybe because they don't know, they didn't reach that limit of them being in this kind of situations. Like we experience now with like through Sasha with her like visa and problems like that. I didn't realize that because I don't maybe travel. I don't realize this shit. It's hidden somewhere. But when you cross some limits, then you will face this harsh reality. It's almost like a prison. Everybody's in a prison. Everybody says that, oh, I think it's fine. No, we got free meals, like 3 meals a day. We have a big backyard. As soon as you want to leave that fucking prison, it will be a big fucking problem, And then you realize, okay, I'm here just because I'm a prisoner. If I want to be free, a little bit free, I'm fucked,
Yeah. And this is, for me, I had an interesting experience recently where I lost my passport. I have 2 passports, Russian and US. I lost the US one. So I went to the US Embassy. I'm in the UK right now. I went to the US Embassy in London to apply for a new passport. And I actually had my passport stolen like almost 10 years ago one time. And I applied for a new passport. I got a normal passport. It was good for 10 years. And I thought the same thing would happen. I applied for a new passport. I expected to get a normal passport back.
And you also paid for that.
I paid almost $150 for a new passport. I went through this whole paperwork. I read everything online. I turned all the documents in and everything. I got a new passport in the mail, and I see that the passport expires in just 1 year. And for normal people, it's not really that big of a deal because, okay, my passport expires in a year. It's okay. I'll come back to my country and, I'll get this sorted. Next time I go on vacation, I'll make sure I'll get a new passport before that. But because I don't live anywhere really, like I'm not planning to go back to the US or to any particular place. I don't have much money. I don't have a job. And I just basically like travel, indefinitely, or hopefully I'll come back to Spain if they let me in. That's a problem for me because, one, I can't apply for certain visas with a passport that's good for only 1 year. Sometimes you need a longer passport. I can't get certain documents. I can't get into certain countries if I don't have a normal passport. And so I went back to the embassy and I looked up, how I can go about getting a real passport, because it says on my passport that in order to get a full validity passport, I need to get it recognized or whatever the hell. And so I went back to the embassy, filled out the paperwork, and the guy was ready to accept my application and wanted to charge me another $145. I told the guy, okay, online I found that I read that it was free. I showed him like a printed out piece of paper that said that it's supposed to be free, this new valid passport. And then this big boss came up, the boss guy came, started talking to me. Then this boss guy told me that even if I hand in this form and pay another $145, I probably won't get a real passport. I'll probably just get another passport for 1 year. And basically, anytime they want, they can give me just a 1 year passport. That's basically what this boss guy said. And I had no idea they can do that. They can just restrict you as much as they want. So next time I go and I try to apply for a real passport, I won't know which passport I get until I get it in the mail. And I can pay another $145 as much as I want, and they can continue to give me a 1-year passport.
What is the reason behind this? Why they don't give you long-term?
They said that it was because I had lost my passport more than once in the last 10 years.
So what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last time I lost my passport was in 2009 or 2010. So it was like almost 10 years ago. You know, and that's the thing. That's what they say. But who the fuck knows? You know, I mean, who knows what fucking information they have on me? You know, for sure they know I have a Russian passport. They know I don't. They probably know I don't fucking ever come back to the States or have like a normal life. You know, it says I'm born in Russia. You know,
The
They're on to
problem
you.
is that they abuse they abuse their powers, because
Yeah.
even if they will tell you like, well, we give you 1-year passport because you lost it in the past, in the last 10 years. Give me a document. Where does it say that? No, show me like the law or
Yeah, yeah.
something. But
Yeah,
they
I
don't do
read
that. They
nothing
abuse you.
online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they abuse you into this kind of things, and you cannot do much, you know, because you have so little power with them. They could do whatever, like in airports and everywhere. They can take decisions there, you know, ad hoc, like there. And if you don't are a bit, if you are not a bit like, that's another thing. If you are a bit more inquisitive and be like, okay, but show me why and show me this, you might get into other kinds of troubles. See?
Yeah. And these people, honestly, like sometimes they make me feel like a criminal, even though I don't do anything illegal. You know, I don't do anything wrong. Okay, I don't work very often, and I live off of my savings. And there have been times where they almost like they didn't want to let me into the States, and I have a U.S. passport, you know, and they've interrogated me for hours and hours, many times when I've come through the border, just because I travel a lot and just because I don't have a job.
But that's
It's-
because no people do that, so it seems weird.
Yeah.
People are
So
just
that's the
staying
thing.
in the
So
States.
so that's the thing with this like social credit thing. It's not like I'm doing anything wrong. It's not like a Chinese person that wants to travel around or live a different life, you know, not have a constant job and live on their savings or do something else. Follow their passion or their hobby. It's not like they're a bad person. So in a way, it's like jailing people, kind of, you know, putting them on house arrest or like, you know, your local city arrest for something that they haven't, you know, for nothing bad, you know.
Well, you are always on country arrest all the time, because it's not like you can. You have to respect their rules and the rules and the laws all the time. So that's always the case, you know. To me, that's what bothers me a bit when people say, "Oh my God, look at China." You can see it on the first page of Reddit. Oh my God, social credit is so bad, you know. Yes, so fucking bad. But you look at your own country, your own tribe, you know. There are so many fucking laws that you have no idea. And in a way, China, it's a bit. I'm not saying it's better, but in a way, China is more like direct. It's like, yes, motherfuckers, you know, we have to respect those rules, or else you're fucked. But other tribes, like US or Europe, they are more like, no, this is freedom, this is democracy. Oh my God, everybody is so free. We are holding hands, and now we accept gay marriage. You know, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, fuck
Yeah,
off,
and
man.
they convince people to give up their data as opposed to making it, you know, the law.
But
So
yeah,
if
but there is
you
not.
just convince people that it's cool, then it's, you know, then you're free.
Yeah, it's for your safety and for your more comfortable life.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
if you want to live this kind of uncomfortable life, uncomfortable for the governments and, you know, people in charge, they will force you in many ways to put you back or put some, you know, operations into you, or even to restrict you. And sometimes you even, as you said, Sasha, you feel like you are some kind of criminal just because you want to live a different way of life. But then, what is country? As you know, as Theo said, it's like you always land to someone's country, and that's basically you are always at someone's property. There is no free land anymore. I think Antarctica kind of.
Yeah,
But,
I think it's still divided and owned by different tribes.
Yes, it's kind of divided. Well, yeah, okay, Antarctica.
And by polar
in
bears,
some
if
way.
you want to fight with them.
But I think if you want to go and live there, you also will be trapped, you will be restricted to that. They won't allow you to do this. So yeah, so at any time, at any point, you basically are citizen or of some private private property land.
Someone's property. Maybe.
Yeah, and they each like landlord of the country, they've got their own terms of rules which you cannot skip, which you cannot avoid. It's like by law. They may say. They may implement such weird laws that you have no way of choice. As you said, Sasha. Yeah, show me the law where it says that if I lost the passport in the 10 years, they couldn't give me a second one. But maybe there is such a law. I mean, if it's not, they could just write it down, and you will have it. It's like it's your own prison, and you do whatever you want.
Yeah, Planet Prison. I wanted to actually make a book years ago, a Planet Prison, to showcase how people are not aware at all of such things just because they live the life of a prisoner, and they are comfortable with that kind of life. So
but it's cool because many people don't realize that it's kind of they live in a prison. As long as you follow the path, if you work from 9 to 5, if you have 2 kids, you have iPhone, you have all this stuff, BMW, 2 kids, and so on. Life kind of comfortable for you. So why bother?
Yeah, but it's comfortable for them. But yeah, of course. But because they don't kind of realize such things, their environment gets more and more narrow and more controlled, and then they get pushed more and more into a corner because they just don't realize such things, and because they actually they don't even cannot do anything about that. So, but it's so weird because who is doing these things? It's not like fucking an alien.
Of course,
species, it's still people. That guy, the boss that you said, Sasha. That guy is just like a poor prisoner, like all of us. He's a prisoner, like the guards in a prison. They are just doing their job, and that's such a fucked up mentality in today's society. It's like it's the best excuse. I did my job. I don't know. I don't know. They make the laws. I have to enforce them, and because of that, it's this fuckery. That even ridiculous laws there are. It was a funny YouTube video with a guy who was like breaking all the UK laws.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Yeah, because they have some laws that they still drag them. Like you don't with them in the prison. It's like you cannot go and face a guard and provoke it, or cannot go with a salmon with a big fish.
Yeah,
in
that
the
was
streets.
Yeah.
Like that, Because I think because of the bureaucracy, it's so hard to.
So slow to change anything.
Yeah.
But then you said
I would
people
also
don't.
add that it's like
Yeah, I'll just start. You two said about that people are comfortable, they don't realize, and they just get narrow. I just want to mention this famous experiment with a frog. If you put frog, throw it away, throw it inside boiling water, it will jump straight away. But if you throw it away into cold water and slowly start to heat it up until it gets boiled, frog will stay there. It just acclimatized to the
just like a jacuzzi.
to the change of the temperature, and eventually it will die. So it's the same there. They just born into this system, like all the values, all the information they've got. It's like brainwashing mainstream, which tells like everything all right. Keep consuming, keep buying. We have this law. Okay, you can't live without insurance, but it's good for you. Okay, we will implement a new video camera in your room, but it's for your safety because there are drones flying and it can detonate and what's not. And then it's get narrower and narrower, but people are fine with that because it's like it's going bit by bit, slowly by slowly. They're taking kind of your freedom away.
I would say that this concept of trade has kind of restricted human behavior, and people think that that's the way. In order to control human behavior and to improve conditions, you need to restrict things and you need to add terms and conditions. So you're only allowed to have health insurance if you have a job or if you're this and that, or you get a tax break if you're married and shit like that. But I would say that when you remove restrictions and there are less terms and conditions, it's a better system. Like, for example, in Spain, there's healthcare for everybody, and you don't have to be employed, for example, or shit like that. Or also in Denmark, it's like that. And that's a better system than you have to have a job and then you get healthcare. Or like in today's societies, like, or countries, everywhere you go, it's like you're restricted. You know, if you come from a poor country, places in Africa, or from like Afghanistan and shit, and you want to come to Europe, you're fucked more or less. You have all kind of restrictions. And so if there are less restrictions and less terms and conditions, there's less trade, I think you can improve all these different areas, because your behavior is then not controlled. It's not like, okay, you got to do this and this in order to get this and this, or you can't go from A to B because you're from fucking wherever the fuck, Congo or some shit. So I think people are trying to solve problems by adding more bureaucracy and more terms and conditions and the barriers, and you got to cut these barriers down and break the walls down, and show that human behavior is not controlled by these laws or walls and shit like that, but it's controlled by the environment and many other factors. And and I think that could slowly maybe
they're
make
so
a difference.
scared. They're so scared that if we have no laws, no rules, it will be like a fucking mayhem. Like everybody, people are stuck in the streets. You know, they are eating dirty. You know, like they don't wash their hands. You know, there is such a fucking mess. You know, but it's not true. That's not true. People don't just do random shit. People's behavior comes from environments. So the more equal and the more opportunities for people, and the more trade-free stuff, or more like towards that spectrum, the better, the more health there. Like in Spain, I think the average, the life expectancy is like 80, 85, 80, 84, 85. It's one of the highest, you know. And it's very likely that's partially because the healthcare system is quite good. And it's like everybody here, even if you come from another country and you're a resident, you get healthcare and they don't ask anything. Like I had all kinds of health problems for the past 2-3 months, and I had to go to so many tests. Not even once I felt like I had to give something, like nothing. They don't ask me for any kind of like money, any kind of like my social status. Are you employed? Are you married? Are you this? Are you that? Never, you know. So of course it's not a perfect system, and there are many people from Spain who complain about that. But it's a much better system than one in, for example, in Germany, who are forcing you. How the fuck to force you to have a health insurance? Like probably that will create more people to commit suicides, you know.
And the funny thing, I went to this insurance company office and I was speaking, and they tell me, yeah, you have to pay. I said, okay, what if I don't have money? Then you have to search for, you know, social help and blah blah blah. And I said, okay, what happens if I just don't pay? And they said, and the lady went to another, like her boss, or I don't know, to ask.
There's an angry guy with dreads.
No, alarm.
Get the police.
You don't want to pay for the insurance. Yeah. So then she came back. She said, "Yeah, you just get fine." And I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna pay fines." And then she said, "Then there's like a probability to go to the jail." And I'm like, "Okay, but how long? For how long should I go to the jail?" It was super funny at that point.
Who should we call now?
That's insane. It's like regardless of what you do, they're forcing you to participate in the system. Because
exactly,
if you can't pay for it, then you go into this program that looks for a job for you, and you know, or you go to jail like that.
Yeah, because finally, then that's the safety net of today's world, the jail, because they pay from taxes. You know, they create this kind of places, and that's the safety net there. What should we do in Cuba? Let's put him in jail, you know,
where he gets his health care and
exactly.
But I think maybe it's not a bad idea. Then you get free food.
You get.
I can play my guitar there, and I don't need to pay for insurance.
Wow.
I think they are forced to provide healthcare for inmates. I'm sure they are forced to do that. Which is cool. You just have to kill a few people and then you get insurance. You don't have to go to the bureaucracy, you know.
So there's always a way, you see. It's not like they just force you to one solution.
Isn't it ironic that we laugh at these things, but it's like it's happening? Like, it's not
scary.
It's not like we talk about the past. Like, oh, look at those motherfuckers. They had such a bad time, you know. No. Look at these motherfuckers, you know.
Yeah.
In the U.S., there's also something like jury duty.
Yeah,
What?
Guys know?
yeah. You get it here too.
Same in Canada.
Yep.
Like you have to, like at random they can choose any citizen to have to be in the jury. They chose you.
They chose me, and I had anxiety, and I had to talk to my doctor and like get her to like get me out of it.
But can you
Yeah,
can you explain this for people who don't know?
Yeah, I
So-
didn't understand.
So basically you have to participate as a jury member in court.
Ah, okay.
So because they just choose random people. So all citizens have to participate in this if they're called upon. And one time they sent a letter to my mother's house saying that I needed to go to jury duty while I was in like Europe, like 4 or 5 years ago. And I had no money. I was broke. I'm like, I'm not fucking going to the States for this. And the thing is that you can tell them, like, there was a form that I filled out, and I said, okay, I'm not there, so I can't go. But then they have to provide them, what are you doing? You're working abroad or are you studying abroad? I wasn't doing either one, I was just snowboarding. But that, like, for them, that's, I got away with it eventually, but it was, if you just tell them that you're abroad and you're not working and you're not studying, then they might still force you to go to jury duty. And if you don't do it, I think they can also put you in jail. Don't quote me on
so
that,
you
but I
will be-
think
There's punishment.
You can
So
go
you
to
have to
jail
go
for a
there.
lot of silly things in these countries. It seems like not paying insurance and not showing up for jury duty.
Yup.
It doesn't look like it's just like if you refuse to cooperate, they will put you in jail for silly things. It's very funny.
Unless you're one of those
But
guys in
the jury
jail for
duty
silly
is like
things.
you have to
they
you
will
have to
put
be in
you.
a jury. You have to be in a jury to decide. Like someone is judged,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
have to be in the jury.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So if you don't go there, they put you into the center of.
Yeah, then you get a jury of your
You
Yeah,
are the
they
one-
put you on the
then
other
you're the one
side.
getting judged.
And anyway, you go. It's like you can
Jesus
choose which
Christ.
side you want.
Yeah, you want to be in the
Yeah.
jury or.
And then they try to convince their citizens that they're free. Like, but you have to do this or you go to jail.
Yeah.
But you're free.
What do you
don't worry.
tell the people who are already in jail for something more serious? Like, what did you do to get in here? I just didn't show up for jury duty, or I didn't pay insurance.
Yeah.
It's not even a respectable crime.
I actually saw a documentary of like the first and last day in prison, and there was like one or two of these people that just didn't pay their taxes or like small stuff like that, and looked like they had a very good time. So everyone else was like 10 times tougher than they were. So
Yeah.
Dangerous
It's
people.
also like, no, I was just gonna say that even for in Denmark, for example, for me, I keep getting these messages from the Danish government because I need to go to the military,
What?
and it's an obligation until you're 30 years old or some shit like that. And until now, I've been able to write it off because I'm studying. But now suddenly I had to go to an appointment, but I missed this appointment. So maybe I mean in the letter it says that I might have to go to like if you go to jail or some shit.
What?
But I don't know how like serious they are about that type of shit. But
Danish jail is pretty
even in
nice.
places like that, they force you to go to such places, even though there are more than enough volunteers that will voluntarily go to the military and shit like that.
Do they have an
I
army?
mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I
what?
mean,
Yeah.
the military
To protect
is
the
so
queen.
active.
Oh,
so
right, right.
you know.
No, but does it have any other serious consequences? Like, can they blacklist you or hurt your future employment activities if you do not cooperate? Like with
I don't know.
participating in the
I don't know.
That's
I
where the
don't
social
know.
credits come in, and probably they will get inspired by China because China it's a bit of a pioneer in such things, and other countries will adapt, but in a more subtle way.
What if
I
you
mean,
wrote back to them and said, I do not want to participate in something, in training that trains me how to murder people? What if you wrote it like that? Would they accept?
You don't have a choice.
Yeah,
It's
it
your
doesn't
I think
obligation as a
it's like
citizen of the
with
country.
you have to either be a student or you have to be employed or
you have to be
be
trained to kill people.
handicapped
Yeah, that's right.
or fucked up like that. Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle had to
So-
spend time in a mental asylum to write off that he was insane to escape the Russian army.
Damn.
And my brother
Damn.
didn't come back to Russia until he was 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that stop
It's
the
like, yeah.
Russian army
Escape.
though?
Yeah, nee, a podcast.
Yeah, you make.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
It's
a
crazy.
common hack to
Yeah,
pretend
yeah.
you're crazy.
Or just
But
get a
does it
job.
stop the army though? I
Get
mean,
a job,
maybe they
did you
could
say?
use.
I don't know.
But I mean, I guess kind of like the criminal is also an indirect kind of social credit. It's like if you didn't behave once, then you have less like opportunities from that moment on.
Yeah, and that's how criminals stay criminals, because they don't have opportunities afterwards. People won't hire them. They need all sorts of stuff to have a good record, to have an apartment, even to rent an apartment or something, and so they get stuck with what they can get, which is, crap. And of course they're gonna be forced to break the law again.
That's very
So,
productive.
It doesn't solve the
And
problem.
with
Yeah,
a base
yeah.
of great understanding of how the problem occurred in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it's like even calling some things like social credits. It sounds a bit maybe nice, maybe it's a bit cute, like social credits. What the fuck is that? But it's really
Like
awful
a game
because
on your phone.
yeah. How many social credits do you have?
Exactly.
But it's awful. The implications here are awful, and I think Facebook and others will do the same. If not, some are doing it within their own little environment and say, look, users who don't. I think they will implement that. I'm sure they will implement that. Who behave well, they may get some advantages, because today it's a bit opposite. It's like if you don't behave well, according to our terms and conditions, you get kicked out, or you cannot post. Like it happened to us for Trom. I posted something like some boobs one time. It was because of some post, fucking a book about it was about the subject of nudity and how it's not bad, but Facebook was like, you know what? 24 hours you're not allowed to post on Facebook. So that's how it was.
Nudity is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, what's the difference here? It's just a difference in flavors, not a difference in whatever they're trying to achieve here. They all try to achieve. They try to control human behavior for all kinds of reasons, mainly to get something back from them. Because, like we said, it's so much bureaucracy that it's not somewhere on top who says, let's control the population. No, today is such a fucking fucked up thing that no one even knows who to blame anymore. It's a confusion,
Yeah. And I was surprised also about this company that takes information from social media, from Facebook, and what you do online, and assesses your credit score with that.
Lendo.
How?
Something like that.
Yeah. So it's the same thing as China basically, but this way you can, use that to buy a house or something, or not buy a house. And it's just scary for people to get more and more comfortable with these kind of things around the world.
I would also say, social credits or no social credits, people are fucked if they don't have any money. Like on the streets, if you're homeless and shit, you're fucked. And people who have a lot of money, you can kind of do whatever. Even if you have a bad rep, and you have millions or whatever, you can kind of get your way around maybe. But if you don't have anything, or you come from a poor country, or if you live very area, you're the system in so many ways. So yeah, and of
because
course
you have bad social credits. You have bad social credits, and maybe if you are rich, you donate some money to a charity, and suddenly your social credits are better. It's very easy to manipulate them, everything.
Yeah, just donate some money to social credit charity. To improve safety in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
The other messed up thing about that is that you're born into a particular, regardless, you're born into some tribe, and whatever tribe you're born in, that decides what rights you have on this planet, what places you can visit, what rules you have to follow, all of this. But at the same time, this social credit system is just even more intense, because imagine in China, you're born into a poor family with a low credit score. You're born with a low credit score. If you're born into a good family, then you have all the chances to do anything you want. So it's just keeping that inequality while making it even worse.
And
But it's everywhere. It's the
Disadvantage.
same
Yeah, yeah.
depending on which country you're born. It's like
Yeah.
but it
if
looks
you're born,
like
someone mentioned Afghanistan, then it's like what chances do you have in life?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
but it's almost it's worse than that because not only are you born with the shit credit score, but you it looks like your parents basically will determine the child's credit score, and there's one that's like exclusion from school admission. So
Fuck.
if your parents
Why would you do that?
if your parents basically fuck up and they suck and they're poor and shit, then you're automatically excluded from
The
like
problem
good
works.
education.
I mean,
Wow.
that's
Yeah, exactly.
And
How can
let
you
that
afford good education?
Yeah, let that fester for a generation where like children are just like
Yeah.
intellectually being denied because of their parents
Yeah.
and like whoever's in power. Like,
But again,
That's
that's everywhere. Again, like I mean, you imagine you're born to like a couple
Yeah.
of drug addicts in the Bronx, and what do you have? You have no choice but to. The only
That's-
opportunity you have to go to school is the public school in the Bronx, which is shit, you know. And universities allow you into their university either if you have money or if you did really well in a good school.
Right.
So,
yeah, so
Or
it's like
if you're
different way of
Places
doing the
like
same
that.
thing. Okay.
so
So, what do you guys think with this social credits system? Will it grow more? We will see it more and more applied in different countries, or it's like exclusive to China?
But I saw even in China a bit. Then I can maybe give some examples from our side. But I seen migrated even in China from in other domains. Like for example, it was this I saw recently a show documentary about this guy who's like a kickboxer, and he is debunking all of these fake Chinese martial art experts, and he provokes them and he beats the hell out of them. Just like it has like viral videos and then be like, 'cause are these people who say that they have the power, to push you, and do this and do that, and the guy is like kicking their ass all over, and because of that, the government decided that he bashes the traditional Chinese
Yeah, the
art,
perception of it.
and he got such a low social credit score that the guy was like fucked. He's completely fucked, and he was banned from social media because of that.
Wow.
So you see, even if it's not about being employed, it's also about being, you disrespect some fucking things. It can
Yeah.
migrate to such things, which is extremely scary because if it can migrate to that, then it can migrate to any fucking thing. So for
Yeah.
me, that was like, really, it's already happening. This, it is.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
And they make people social outcasts because if you know somebody that has a lower social credit score, just being like friends with them on social media, or I think even hanging out with them in real life, that will lower your score.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
also
so
good
whoever
point.
has a really low score, the other people aren't going to want to hang out with them or be their friends because their score is going to get lower. So those people just become outcasts.
And they will commit crimes and maybe kill a few people, and then
Yeah, because they have no choice.
What's the point?
drugs, and then
go to jail.
What do you think will happen when the social credit system goes to, say, less secular countries than China, more religious?
Oh fuck.
Yeah, they mentioned that in the wiki article too. That they're repressing the minorities and like discouraging certain religions and stuff. It's like
The Muslim Uyghurs, they put them into detention. But see, that's when China is, because China cannot have an idea greater than the Chinese government to sort of organize society. So it cannot be religion. So they will sort of stamp it out. But what happens if, say, it goes to a religiously extremist country, or even, suppose I can totally imagine what will happen if it came to India. It'd be complete mayhem because we've got so many religions and so many people right here. So the churches and every religion would try and offer you, look, we have a better social credit plan, right? If
but
you're a Hindu,
isn't that an app away from happening?
yeah,
Because
it's just an app away.
yeah, because
Yeah.
they are, look at Iran or other countries who are very restrictive. I think they just, if they have to make it a bit more nice, for Android, Android and iOS app, probably, because if you look, for example, Kazakhstan recently, they wanted to force to implement a certificate in all browsers, and to force every citizen to install this certificate, else they will not access the web. This certificate meant that opened the door to all of the communication, so that they could watch everything and they could monitor everything. So Google and Mozilla had to like not even accept this because it was such a fucked up idea, but they will push more such ideas.
But I think exactly this happens in Iran already. It's super religious country, and even if you speak against, you can't even imagine to speak against Allah or Islam. Not even to do some activities. There's like so many weird things happen. You cannot play music, for example. If you just go out and play in the street, you will be just beaten after 1 minute. Like the fanatics will come and break your fingers. And there's even like voluntary religion police. It's like just volunteers who just like religious fanatics, and they just go out and take just people. I don't know, they have to pray there like 6 times a day or something. And if you during a prayer you're not praying, but you will say sitting in a restaurant, they can like push you out of the restaurant and force you to pray. And it's like volunteers, it's even better than Android.
Yeah, you can sign up for
like,
that shit.
Yeah.
I think Seb knows. Seb lived in this kind of similar kind of environment. I think you know a few, like in terms of religion, in terms of like in Saudi Arabia, and
completely, it's already happening today. And I would say that you don't need social credits because, like Dima said, it's enforced by the whole population as a whole in a way. So if you misbehave, if you play music whilst the mosque is singing Allahu Akbar and shit like that, or the whole family structure as well is so intense there that you kind of have to show up to prayers every Friday, and you're not allowed to leave the home without wearing a hijab and all that shit. So it's crazy, and it's gonna probably maybe get worse. I don't know, but
you can be sure that religion is going to find a way to twist this in its own unique way. But like you guys have been saying, it's a very scary concept, and the extrapolations of this concept are just scary to even contemplate, because with social credit you can completely get rid of the monetary system. Everything works on credit, and how much, because the monetary system still is a trade that is something that facilitates trade that restricts access, right? Suppose you didn't need that at all, instead you have your credit determines your access. Imagine that you would be forced to behave in a certain way to have access. That's in a way a lot worse than the monetary system.
It could be, yes. And what, in a sense, what I find it interesting is that this idea we trade as the source of most problems. It's kind of cutting to this shit. Because you notice it very, very quickly. Instead of focusing on money, that's why I'm telling all the time to people, don't focus on money, because this is just one way to represent trades, and social credits is another way that is becoming bigger and bigger nowadays. So if you focus on trades, it's a much clearer, I think. You detect such things much quicker. You will be like, okay, they ask me to do something in return to get the car, to get something, to go away from this country to visit other countries. And to me, it's that's why I think it's a fantastic idea to keep in mind and to make people aware of. I know that it's such a big fucking world, but I feel like it's a brilliant way to put it and to get rid of this confusion, because people who focus so much on the monetary system, they don't know that these tsunamis of currencies and of social credits, and it doesn't have to be social credits, all kinds of tokens, all kinds of points, all kinds of shit like that, they will come from behind, and they will be more and more spread to companies or to governments.
Yeah.
And then imagine if such social credit system will be implemented in more countries in more open way. Okay, we discussed it in some way, present already in every country, but if it will be more open, just imagine how it will influence us people and our actions as well. As Sasha mentioned, like, okay, if everyone is aware of each other, social score, and you think, oh, okay, I better not to hang out with this guy because it may influence my score. Or as I mentioned in my book, for example, today all the creator artists, they care about views, likes, and shares and comments. It's like for them super important. But then it can convert in such that people will care more about the social credit. Okay, if I release this video on this topic, my social credit goes up, and then it goes down, and people will run for that, not to get likes and shares anymore, but to get higher the social credit, and that will influence again the stuff they're doing and their decisions. What should they do? Like explain something how fucked up our system, or just promote some kind of brand, and my score go up. So.
And imagine, like, since most money is digital already, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard for them to just kind of push out money and to push it out of the way, and to have the entire system kind of be based on your social credits. You get paid with social credits. You use those social credits to buy food in the shop, to buy gas, to buy a train ticket, to buy anything. You don't really need tokens or paper anymore. You just need whatever's on your phone or whatever to the credit.
Likes and
so it
shit
would be
you get
easy
on
for them to
Facebook,
push out money.
Completely.
Huh?
Yeah, Facebook is also working on a new cryptocurrency and all that type of stuff. So it depends on how many likes you have. You can, like you said, buy groceries, or Instagram as well. Like if you have so many followers, you can get into certain places for free. You get all kind of shit for free. So it's like it's a type of social credit system already in a way. Just with followers and whatever the fuck.
Why are we so dumb? Why are we so dumb?
Dumb?
Why? Yeah, dumb. Like idiots. Like, what does a like have to do with anything? Why does everything?
It makes me feel good, Cerny
People
Vass.
need approval.
It's
I mean,
it's very
They don't
cool.
have enough.
It's like I can be a deeply unpleasant human being, but that doesn't mean I should start. I mean, or I can be
because it's a value. It's a currency. It's a currency for the brands to market. It basically shows your audience. The more like you have, the more broader the audience approve what you're doing. Then the more companies can invest money into you and what you're doing. Therefore, you're more valuable. And that comes. There's like two sides. One is like fame, and another is money. And it's like two holy grails of which our society strive for: more money and more fame. That's it. Likes, it's just represent that, and it's for other companies to know.
No, but like Seb was
Like your
saying,
score.
if you can turn likes into currency that you can use, that basically means that if you become a vapid people pleaser, you can eat quite well.
I mean,
You can do that now.
what's happening?
It's like happening today on such scale.
That right now.
Today
I mean,
it's
you are
getting.
doing that. I see your point. It's the same shit, that's a different flavor.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like a cryptocurrency. It doesn't change the money system. It doesn't change much.
Yeah,
Except
but
avoiding banks, but banks also now get into the cryptocurrency. So what's the point?
yeah.
Like this
So it's
thing
like
about
James
like
Franco said, same, but different, but still the same.
Yeah.
this thing about like who hangs out with who and stuff also this, in the form of like who has what status, or like which kind of job you have, how much money you have, and also on social media as well. It's like, oh, someone has a bunch of followers, then I can get a bit of advertisement maybe if I hang out with them and they tag me or something. So it's already happening in other forms.
Yeah, but it was so
Completely.
creepy to watch it in that documentary about China, where people are marrying people of higher social credit, and
Yeah.
it's just that it seems like something that was really old, but being done again.
Isn't
but it's
that
the
also
same
in
currency.
India? Like,
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Hey man, in India you still got this caste category. If you're born into
Oh
fucking
man,
caste,
tell
that you
me
have no
about it.
chance in life at all.
Yeah, I'm living through that right now. It's not so bad for me, but for some other people, it is fucking terrible. I mean, you could lose your life because you didn't get to choose the vagina you popped out of.
Damn.
It's literally that bad, and people will hold this against you till the day. I mean, they will remind you of it every day that you live, and it is so fucking bizarre. The more
And
you
it's
cross
interesting
into
how the other people know. Like if you move away from your city or village, and people don't know like from which caste you are. Can you
Well,
like pretend?
it's relative for the people who are really clued in. You can make out with the names that you take, like what your family name is or your last name is. They can even
Okay.
make out from. They can ask you which village or which town you come from and which part of town, and they will know that you're most likely to be this kind. You belong to this
Okay.
certain community,
Shas,
and
I think
it.
your mic is touching your shirt or something because it's a bit difficult for me to understand.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Yeah.
How do I
It's like,
stop that?
no,
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
imagine how much that ruins potential human relationships, if you're only looking for.
No, people get killed over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a
Yeah, I
documentary
mean,
about that as well.
it's pretty serious where it's fairly rural, but it's not too much better when it's in the urban areas as well. So without getting too personal, that's as much as I can tell you.
China claims that its aim for this whole social credit system is to enhance trust and social stability by creating a culture of sincerity. How sincere is that
That's
statement?
hilarious.
isn't
Yeah,
this
and the funny
something
thing
that
is, also a
that
big part of that
the
is
empire has
is
tried?
yeah, is like how much you buy and stuff, right? How much you consume,
Yeah.
or what you consume. Consume Chinese products and da da da. Yeah, so that's interesting. So
Because
it's
that's
it's
what
pushing us
my
to just
question
consume
was.
more and more and more, and that's
Yeah.
clearly not sustainable.
That's what the society rewards. Is like all these social credits and shit is rewarding like the most fucked up behavior. You know, if you work for like a corporate criminal institution that sells cigarettes or whatever the fuck, or you buy a bunch of shit and or go to the military and start fucking killing people, then you're up there and you're doing good and you're respected in society. But if you don't have shit and you're trying to help people, then it's the other way around. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty backwards.
You should also like wonder what do they want in the end. What's their honest reason here? Do they really want to create a more controlled population that is like in line with Chinese values, or in Europe to more honest so-called people? Because this isn't this something that people tried for so many years to all kinds of regimes. Dictators tried that, and all kinds of like so-called communist societies and all small villages and so forth. When you want to impose a human behavior, a kind of human behavior, you don't do it from the top up. Force it. We're like, you have to learn this, you have to do this, because even in China, they may force this with Chinese people, but probably they will like piss them off to a point of revolution at one point, because they will be like fucked. If you fuck too many people for too long, probably they will go to revolution, and they probably will end up in the same situation because they will replace the government, whatever the fuck they do. They tried that in back in the days with Russia. They tried that back in the days with other tribes in the same kind of fashion to control the population. Hitler wanted like a pure race and shit like that. He ended up quite bad, and he also killed lots of people. And I feel like in the end, even these people are completely moronic if they really want to change human behavior and make them people good, because they don't know how to do that. But I doubt that this is kind of their drive. I feel like it's more this bureaucracy thing that they don't quite understand and just reinforce. It's more about people who reinforce these rules here and there, because they work with this Chinese company like Alibaba to force social credits, and they're like, okay, we should join with the government because it's in our own interest, because maybe they will not have to pay some taxes or whatever the shit. I feel like it's more like pushing. They push these kinds of ideas, and I don't think they really want to create a more like sane population or shit like that, because it's not even working, even if they want that. So I don't know what the fuck they want, unless I'm looking at lower into the structure, like what's happening there, like Alibaba enforcing this to just to sell these products, and you have to get better score if you pay through Alipay than to paying to other shit like that. So I feel like it's about trades again, but it's more forced from there, from the top to the trades. I feel like that's how it is. It's a bit maybe what's difficult for me to explain, but that's kind. Because do you guys think that these people really want to create a like more sincere population to these
Yeah,
kind of things?
I
clearly
don't
they
think
just
they
want
know what
more
they
money
want.
and power, and that's one way of getting it. Sorry, Sam.
No,
I think it's
yeah. I was just gonna say that I don't think they know what they want, and I don't think they know how to solve problems at all. Like you said, Theo, it's just trade kind of infecting their minds and the motives behind everything. It's just in order to more control would mean maybe more revenue, more data. Will mean we can market ads better and so on and so forth. So if there's less of that and less trade and shit like that, then there will be less social control and less social credits, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
in
this,
the end, it's
yeah.
like everyone is always looking for personal gain. You know, any politician really is just looking for personal gain. What can I get out of this? You know, for this amount of years that I can run here. You know, and same with anybody on the top. They're just looking for personal gain, more money, more power. And in this society, if you can do that using technology and you can do a great job of that through this kind of system, then that's what the ones on top will do.
Of course, it's always a competition game, and we're all forced, to take a part in the competition, and therefore you always think about yourself, and all the system works in such a way that it's not beneficial to help others. At the time you're helping others, you're actually hurting yourself, because at the same time you can earn more money and to get something for yourself. But
So
doing
we don't see
something for
many. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
doing
don't see many
something.
politicians that actually that actually
go
do
on.
something good for their population.
Yeah, of course, they have this image. Okay, yeah, I'm doing something good for kids, for the families, and for stuff. But their motives usually totally otherwise
It's
is
not.
to keep themselves or keep the status quo of the current situation.
It's also the story that we are being told, because it depends who are you are listening to. Who knows how many people in China just hear another kind of the story that they agree with. They think that social credits are quite a good and progressive idea, and others are hearing another kind of story. So it's about also the stories that we get to hear from people who have their own interest to tell us this or that story. So that's also important, because we might think the way that we think, but what about those many Chinese people who just watch TV and then just get their news from there, and they may think that it's not even a bad problem. Hey, Francesco, how are you?
Hey.
Great to see you.
Francesco.
Finally, eh?
Yeah, finally I can speak.
what, what do you think about social credits? Eh?
Oh, they are good.
It's a perfect idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea, especially because I've heard that they will get away from money. That if you are using social credits, you don't need money anymore. So you don't need to print paper to cut woods and trees, or to mine all their energy from the world to mine cryptocurrencies. So they are great things.
I think you told me, if I'm not wrong, you told me that in Italy something like they can, if you say like two people in one house, I think you said that or someone else. But if you stay more than two or three people, because you have to pay some taxes, maybe depending how many people you stay in one house, they can see that through the how much water you consume or energy, and they can come and knock at your door and be like, "Hey, motherfuckers, how many are you here?" Something like that.
The way that I understand it is that yes, basically you have a certain house that has a certain square meters of coverage, and has certain amount of rooms, and a certain amount of people can live there, for example. And if you do not tell how many people live there, basically, you get the water or the electricity or whatever costs based on how many family members there are in that house. So if there are 4 family members, but you consume water as 5 people, you get an increase in water cost per liter used, or something like that.
So you see, it's kind of an indirect social credit kind of system of control, social control. It's like we watch your water consumption or your electricity, and if you consume more than what we think is enough for 2 or 3 people who you say they live there, then we can charge you more. So you see there are all kinds of things like that around the world.
So
Yeah.
if you have a very big bathtub, that can fit like 3-4 people, and you took a bath.
You have to register it,
You-
just
Oh my god!
with the government. You're like, hey, I bought a big bathtub.
It seems like keeping poor people poor, but only with extra steps.
So you see, there are many such examples. That's the point here. It's great to talk about social credits and to create awareness, but also people shouldn't be so ignorant about what's happening in their own backyard, because it could be at times worse because it's so hidden through so many like walls and people and bureaucracy that you don't even know how to navigate this shit, unless when you bump with your head into that fucking wall, and then you're like, really? Am I like forced to? If I want to go to Spain, they want me to like work and have like a job that pays over 2,000 euros. That's the only way that I can move there. Yes, you know, who the fuck owns the earth? Well, no one knows anymore because it's so much bureaucracy, you know. And we don't fucking know. It's such a ridiculous situation to watch it from outside because it's so easy to get trapped inside all of this and laugh about laws and shit. But if you go from outside and watch the earth, you know, and this shit that's happening is so fucking ridiculous because you ask your question like, why? What's the fucking problem here? Like an alien will say, like, what the fuck are you trying to do, all of you? You know, with all of these fucking rules, it's not like you fucking protect anyone from anything, or you just in the end you do nothing. If you protect a country, like you say, people who come here, they have to prove this and this and this and that. For what the fuck are you doing this? Because if the people want to migrate to that country, they will fucking migrate to that country. There were probably over 1 million or more people migrating like last year or something like that into Europe alone. Like, you don't achieve what you want to achieve given that, you know.
Yeah, and
Do
it's
you
such a
think they're getting
massive,
better?
just like waste of time and energy just going through all of this bureaucracy, all of this crap, you know, just to restrict your own species from being able to live on this planet. You know?
At least I will
Because we
excuse
are
myself.
individuals, and that's the problem. We don't think too much collectively. Like even in terms of countries, each country, like there are no countries who cares more about the whole earth than more about its own, you know, piece of land. And that's like the problem. And it just go, you know, into the lower and lower steps. Politicians don't care, you know, politicians in one city don't care what's happened, you know, in the city, in other city in his country. And then it's go down and down. Like your family doesn't care what happens in the, you know, neighborhood family and so on. So it's all like individual. That's why we're forced into so many problems, and that's why we compete, because like even on a
Because
global
you are
scale, we're
forced.
individuals. Yeah, we're forced.
You
Exactly.
are forced
That's
to
what I
play
said.
a role.
Yeah.
You're forced to play a role in this society. If you
Yeah.
don't play a role, as we explained very well, you are fucked.
You're
And
fucked.
so it's not only about awareness. That's the problem here. It's not only about awareness. It's about the fact that if you don't like respect the rules, so it's such a tricky situation that I don't think anyone has a proper answer for.
And I would say as well, like Dima was saying, like on a national level, we are also playing, like Germany or Spain or Saudi Arabia or America, they're also all playing a role, or they're all just focusing on their country and fighting against every other country. And if they don't fight for their own country, then they're fucked, just like a human is fucked. Then their country will be taken over if they don't like advantage themselves over other people or over another nation. You know, Germany focuses on their trade deals rather than on Spain's and shit like that. And that's why Germany is raping, you know, many European countries with all kind of different, with the banking system and different shit like that. So each country is like, each human is reinforced to just focus on maintaining their position of advantage and advancing that.
And that's where a lot of problems come from.
Yeah.
So like we are here, we care a bit more about others people too, about the environment and stuff. And therefore we have so many difficult situations, because like the whole system, the whole society is not made for such way of thinking, of way of life. And that's it. Therefore we experience such difficulties. Like normal people, they wouldn't care. Like social system, why should I care? I've got jobs, I've got 2 kids, I don't rob anyone, I behave very well. It's fine. I can get some discount when I've got high score. There's no problem for me. It's cool.
It's the same way with social platforms, where most people do not care. Most people do not cross the limits of Facebook, for example, because they don't post anything that's too out of ordinary. They post cats and their birthdays, in between, whatever the fuck it is. But when you post something that is more like controversial, then you will get to reach the limits of Facebook. And the Facebook of China, they are the same kind of entities that just want to control billions of people for their own profits. So that's the problem, because my parents or others, they will not care when Facebook will introduce a law who says, you know what, nudity is now a bad thing. You shouldn't post nudity, because they don't post such shit, or violent behavior or whatever. They don't post such things. But I care if I want to spread a message about social credits or some abuse that happens, or educating people about the stupidity of nudity and shit like that. For me, it will affect. So that's the problem here, because normal people, such things are made for normal people to not upset them, maybe in a way, because they adapt. Even if they are pushed a bit into the corner, they adapt. They're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't post this because they are right. Sometimes they give too much credit to those fuckers who are on top, who take decisions, and they try to come up with all kinds of excuses, like, yes, of course Facebook doesn't accept nudity because of this or that. They think that it's irreasonable. Wait, they don't know the implications. So to navigate this problem, people have to know. At least that's at the beginning. If they don't know what the fuck is happening and don't know the implications here, then there is no path forward. And after they know, I don't think it's much that they can do. At least, spread the word about this shit. But I'm not sure it's such a hard thing to navigate.
Yeah. And same thing, like, just if you want to leave your tribe, I realized that actually, I spent so much time traveling. It wasn't always just because I wanted to travel. It was because I was pushed, I was forced to leave wherever the hell I was, because I legally couldn't be there. So I just kept on going to somewhere else, and then back to there, or back to somewhere else. And whatever country would let me in, I would spend some time there. And most of the time I'm just pushed to go somewhere else. Like now I'm in the UK, not because I particularly wanted to go here, but because I was forced to leave.
But you are a bad human being, Sasha. I think you're a very bad human being. Because I think
you get really low score.
You don't pay taxes.
I would get a horrible credit score for sure. And that's probably why they don't want to give me a 10-year passport.
Yeah, it's not worse. I mean, in the 10 years, you won't be able to travel anymore. So.
Yeah.
I think you traveled enough. If I look at your past and be like, you traveled for the past 10 years, it's time to chill the fuck down and come to your native tribe. Because we need you in the army or some shit, maybe.
No, we need more kids. We need more consumers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're losing consumers.
Yeah.
But that's a problem.
When you're trying to convince people not to consume so much, that's a problem. Yeah, so you don't realize this if you just stay in your own tribe and have a job and follow all the rules and you don't seek for anything else.
Like I just had a thought in my mind, like if the social credit system would be implemented in Latvia, I'm sure like my parents would be totally okay with that. They think, okay, that's fine, we can get some discounts.
But they're Russian, right? So they probably wouldn't get a good score just because of that.
Yeah, you're right. But maybe they could be somewhere in the middle, which seems okay.
Because most people are normal, and even when they talk about democracies, you rely on those normal people who don't know much about the world. Of course, it's a fake, it's an illusion of choice. But even in theory, you rely on people, who are the most normal to decide about the future of the society or some shit like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
But do you think that these systems are, these things that they try, the trade system or the monetary system, now with the social credit system, do you think they're getting better at, say, population control or herding human behavior?
They're sneakier. I think they're much, much sneakier. It's the term free today is completely raped into like no one knows what the fuck free means, anymore. Social credit is an umbrella word for controlling people. All of these kind of engagements and attentions and watch ads and click this, click that, and like, it has become so polluted that I feel like that's why, to me, that's why I wrote this book about the origin of most problems, because it was a reaction that I had to all of this fuckery, because I've seen that it's happening everywhere. I couldn't know like what unites all of this, or at least most of them. And then I realized this thing with trade, because everyone wants something from you in order for you to access this or that, or just to fucking live on this planet. So I hope that at least if we promote this to Trom, we reach a few people here and there, and they can get the idea and they may navigate better this fuckery, because else I see them completely confused. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They think that they don't understand. They don't think that social credits, cryptocurrencies, money, and attention grabbing are the same things. They think that they are completely some different things. Like one is one is the other. You know, and I think that is very confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, when so many people focus on money, that just allows these other trades to gain more power, and that's what will happen. You focus on money, say this is the problem, so okay, there's other ways to do things, you know.
I even saw some organizations that are maybe copying it. Just 1 second to point this out. Copy to TVP or other organizations who are trying to implement some scores. Some like had this idea of implementing some scores, like if you help other people, you get a score. You know, not negative scores, but positive scores. But even positive scores are always negative scores when you don't have enough. You know, they work in both ways. Want just to say that. Sorry, sir.
No, I was also just gonna add that that even though like this concept of trade free and trade as the enemy and so on might not change the world, and things might stay the same and shit might just get more fucked up, at least I feel like for myself and so on, that by knowing that trade fucks things up in so many ways, you can at least navigate the world much better, like you said. And I think many people can then navigate the world better and be like, okay, you know, this is what maybe causes things to get more fucked up, and restrictions can always limit human behavior and doesn't really change much. So that's an interesting point.
Because if you make a small community and you give me some points if I work the land 2-3 hours a day, some people might not think that this is a bad idea. I'd be like, okay, let's incentivize people, you know, to work the land. But that's that's a system that's based on trades, because those points can be converted into something else if that's the case. You know, if you get more food in return for those points, that's completely.
It's not different from money. You're just not using money as that medium. That's the only difference, which doesn't really matter. So you're not changing anything.
And just like money, they can arbitrarily change the rules anytime they want to, just to adjust and control human behavior in large groups. Like, say, suppose they don't want people to farm anymore, instead work on, say, laying roads and construction work, they can just increase the social credit for people working in those trades. And then it's all just fucked up.
Guys, what do you think? Is there any ways to avoid, or somehow to not to fight against, but somehow to do something against the social credits in any form in any country?
Leave.
Get a stable job, maybe.
You can. You try to leave, Cody. Like that's what I tried to do.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And now I can only get a passport for 1 year at a time. Like
No. In a sense, can you change? Can we change something? Is it like possible to influence something to go like a bit different direction?
I feel like because like we talked in so much length, the entire system is based on trade, and these social credits are just one flavor of how to deal with trade in many aspects. I feel like you cannot just tackle this in a way, even if you had lots of power. You cannot just tackle social credits, because social credits only work if it's this kind of trade system, enforced trade system. Like, you want food, you have to behave. Okay, you want to live, you have to behave. So I think it's the same global issue that we are facing here.
Maybe then the food is a problem. Like, imagine if we wouldn't need food.
What?
Humans didn't need food.
No,
imagine if you wouldn't need to eat.
You cracked it, Dima. That's it.
That's the problem.
That's the problem, man. We can go further. And why do we have mouths? You know.
Yeah, like what if sharks had the legs?
What if sharks?
It's always like, and you don't have to have an answer for what you should do with that. Sometimes you should also be okay with pointing out the problems, because it's not like you can have a solution. I think this is such a complicated matter that you can't just come up with a solution for this. But I will stick to my theory. I will say that this trade-based system fucks things up, and that's what I kind of know. I'm not sure exactly how to tackle all this fuckery, but I'm sure that the Chinese social credit system works very well because of that, and is promoted very well because of that, because it's promoted with companies, like I said, Alibaba is huge, Tencent, those are the two hugest, biggest companies maybe in the world. And because they have this business, they promote these social credits to their business, and because it's not in their interest. You see, in today's world, my interest is my gain. It's not an interest to think about the world. If I'm Alibaba, I care about selling shit. And if the Chinese government comes to me and says, we should implement social credits, I'm not here to fight with the fucking Chinese government so that they can increase my taxes that I pay to them. No. I care about my business, okay? So I care about selling shit, so I'll be like, yeah, implement that shit. And they don't care about such things. And I think these trades and companies that forms around, like I said, Privatopus and Statopus and the farts around them that they produce, the companies and so forth, I think they promote this kind of things because they don't care of anything but their profits. So I think this is a huge, huge problem. If they were to care, they would stand.
It's always a mix of the business and like the business owners and the government. So one wants more money, others wants more influence and obedience, and they always kind of work together very well. And therefore, you cannot outstand nothing against them.
Because even maybe if you go deeper, even like countries and governments, they want this control also because they want the tribe to be more and more powerful, because they do trades with other tribes, because they will get more timber for other countries or gold or shit like that, or invade other countries. So they need to be more and more powerful in this game of moving stuff and people around. So also politicians, they are rich motherfuckers, they also care about making some cool businesses. Like I know this Putin guy it's a very like maybe short and very badass guy. He lives in Russia, and he's like, I think he made some really cool businesses there when it was like Winter Olympics and so forth. That I've seen some stuff about that. He made lots of money. I'm talking about the guy who's in charge of the Russian tribe. He made lots of money to that, and other people associated with him. So they are also influenced by this kind of shit. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. So it's not always about just they want to control for the sake of controlling. It's also they want to control for the sake of having more power. What kind of power?
I feel like it's almost like a mental illness when you get to having that much power and that much money, because it's like you never stop. You want more and more and more.
But don't call it mental illness, because then you'll be like, it's a disease.
Yeah. Maybe that's the wrong word.
It's a virus.
Yeah, it's something that
but
that's
you just become insane.
You need some pills, maybe.
Yeah, to calm you the fuck down.
Down.
But I think also the more richer you become, the more people are become dependent on you. Imagine if you have businesses, there's more and more people are working for you, more and more people wants to work with you and making business. Therefore, they will push you, and sometimes they give you some proposals which you cannot really reject because it will influence a lot. And I think it's also kind of two-sided coin. Even for the politicians, there are actually many politicians who go into politics believing they can change something. But as soon as they get into the system, into the parliament, and everywhere they start to see the system inside, and they understand they cannot do much. They have to, play by the rules already established, and it's like monetary game. And it's and that's why it's always some time ago I was wondering, like, where are all these politicians? They're really a lot of cool guys with good intentions to go into politics, and they really care about the society and stuff. But then after a while they'll get into the inside the parliament, 1 year, 2 year pass, and there becomes like everyone else there. They do nothing. They just
they get corrupted by the environment.
Yeah, exactly. But there's nothing they can do, because imagine, as Theo mentioned, Putin, and there, if you get there into parliament, like the parliament is like a family, and everyone doing businesses with each other. And now you like in the head of some department or what's not, and they want to do business with you. And if you reject, you will be just thrown out of the government very soon.
Completely. And so many people, I would say, still live under this illusion that politicians can change something. And it's like with this, Bernie Sanders movement or whatever and shit like that. It's like a lot of fantastic ideas are maybe brought to the surface and brought to awareness. So maybe that's one positive thing. But if you don't address the structure and the trade game that like forces people things not to change, then there's no hope. There won't be any change, or you won't be addressing the problem in the first place, really.
I think what we are going to see more and more is like Facebook will implement their own currency, and of course their own currency comes with their own rules. It's almost like China, but just private. And because if that works for them, Google will make their own currency, and then other companies will make their own currency, and it will be like this kind of like infection of currencies all over with different rules and different exchange rates and shit like
It'll
that.
be
Like
like
happened with
an online nation, like
Mm.
a whole tribe, you know?
Google Nation.
That's such a
Google Nation.
weird thought.
Google coin or Google whatever.
Yeah, face coin.
Face coin.
Pay with the blink.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pay with the face, of course.
I'm going to be shit poor then.
Yeah, so these things will happen. It's not like I want to, like, it's for us maybe for me at least it's a discharge to make fun of such things and to laugh at this ridiculosity, because it's tricky to what the fuck can you do, you know? What the fuck can you do? It's such a fucking ridiculous situation and dangerous situation that is hard to do much. I mean, we write books, we make videos, you know, we are serious about this. Of course you can, because some people may be like, you know, and you laugh at those things, and you know, and you make fun of them and shit like that. You just talk about problems, but it's fucking difficult, you know. It's fucking difficult to get this out there and to also do something about it. Like I said many times, give me 5 billion and I would have better answers. I will not make TROM-Cast anymore. I will make goods and services that are trade free, and I will fight this on another level. But for now, I feel like we have to make people aware of this fuckery. And the best way to do that is, again, through the internet means, like videos, and we write books and we make memes, whatever the fuck we make. And maybe we make people aware. Like recently, because of the Tronjaro operating system that we made and we labeled trade free, we got into some arguments there, here and there, and people from the top of Manjaro community, and they have a big community, and they start to we get their attention, you know, at least in that community of people. It's a big community, very small on the global scale, but make some noise, you know, make some noise about, look, trade fasting stuff, doesn't matter, social credits, it's attention and it's or advertising or shit like that, just to make some noise. And we are trying, and I'm doing a lot of work, and other people are doing a lot of work to do this kind of shit. So I wanted to really mention this, so whoever watches this, don't wrongly assume that we use TROM-Cast just a way for us to just, you know, is this big fuckery? Let's make fun of it. It's also it's fun, of course, to make fun of it, and it's a relief. But we also do lots of shit. Like Diem also wrote a book about entertainment that we discussed last TROM-Cast, a big book going into details and showing also alternatives. So that's what I love about this project, that we also showcase solutions. Sometimes it's extremely fucking difficult, and sometimes we'll get into the same kind of issue, like mainly trade is the problem, then what is the solution? Kind of deal with trade, you know. We go into the same kind of things every TROM-Cast. But well, at least it's good that we are bringing some new information, maybe here and there, you know. And for this TROM-Cast, I think the most important part was that we also made people aware that social credits are not that different from the rules that are in our own tribes. That's what I hope people will get from this, with the examples that we gave. That's what I hope.
And social credits might even be worse, because let's assume that money and bitcoins and whatever cryptocurrency does not exist anymore, and we use only social credits. Social credits, you cannot transfer them to one person, from one person to another. So basically, whoever does a volunteer job will not get any more social credits. Like YouTube, for example, you are doing a shit that the government don't want, so you will be fucked. We all be fucked in this sense. There is no way out of it.
We may not be able to transfer social credit, but I think pretty sure, because we do have something called private businesses, where there is an employer-employee relationship. and that sort of hierarchy, you will get to determine some aspect of somebody else's social credit, and it can be terribly oppressive.
Yeah, but you need to have a job to have that.
Yeah,
What
I
is
mean,
sure is
if,
that people will find loops in every system if they are pushed to. Like today, they break laws all the fucking time. I'm sure they will also come up with ideas to hack the social credits aspect, depending who you're hanging out with or what you install some apps that whatever the fuck, or you do this indirectly to get better social credits. Like today, people do it to get better, maybe government score. I know people who just scam the government into getting social security money or shit like that. There are many people who do that, pretending to be sick because they pay doctors to give them the right papers and stuff like that. So of course, it's a good point that Francesco brought, that they give the credits to you and could make it a bit more difficult. For example, you have a family and you want to help your children. Those social credits may be beneficial for you, but not for your children. And this could be another tricky kind of situation for mortals. Depressive enough?
Yeah. I need some likes.
Well, yeah. Do you want some depressive news?
Yeah, I
let's do it.
Unless anyone wants to add anything to this. No.
Right. Who's that? Waymo offers a peek into the huge trove of data collected by its self-driving cars.
Yeah, as first I thought that it's about how they collect data for advertising purposes, and I was like, yeah, of course that's happening. That you don't have that's not a news anymore. But no, here it was more like I was thinking about Google has so much money, and when they test self-driving cars, now they have so much data that only maybe they and a few other companies can make self-driving cars, so they have little competition, so they can actually rent that data. So if you have a company that wants to make self-driving cars, what if you become a customer of Google? So in a sense, Google doesn't have to fucking own most of the self-driving cars. They will become a service of data, and this is interesting because it's another layer of how they can control this market through the data, because data is so valuable, you see. So that's an interesting thing that they can do that with. The article is not saying that, but the article is showcasing how much data they have, and that they probably most companies, other companies or governments, they don't have that much amount of data. They have this value. So that's interesting.
Sit less, move more may be key advice for living longer.
Sit less, move more. How are you doing, Colin?
Pretty okay.
Do you sit more?
I'm sitting in here for at least, over the recommended time period of 9.5 hours a day. Don't do that. That's too sedentary.
Yeah, all the time such studies are so difficult to make the correlation become causation. It's a challenge. They say don't sit for too long, but then on the other hand, it's like maybe people who sit for too long are also sick. So you don't know which one is correlates or is causation to the other one. But it's a news, I think, from NHS, the new behind the headlines. So again, I really recommend NHS. It's from our TROM-Cast news. I recommend them in terms of healthcare news, because you'll see there the studies and what they realize from these studies and so forth. And for example, I can give you some advice if you want to know how to live a healthy life. And what all of the doctors and researchers are saying is nothing like those Instagram models are saying. Okay, what they're saying is that you have to do some moderate activity every day. They say that's recommended. It could be 30 minutes a day. You can vacuum clean, or you can go for a walk. You don't have to go for a fucking run. And what about eating? You have to eat don't exaggerate with anything, and just eat many fruits and vegetables, and cut a bit the processed meat, red meat, and pretty much that's it. And this is a very unsatisfying answer for today's culture, where people want to sell books about how to live longer. Because the solution is just there. It's not much.
And the cooking books and
The religion around
meal
cooking.
meals ready to eat, or the things that you put in the microwave and don't have to cook, because who has the time to cook nowadays?
Yeah. That's why it's interesting about even the study about running doesn't help you like lose weight, for example. That was a very surprising study for me. Like you can go and run as much as you want and you will lose very little weight. Like, if you want to lose weight, I'm giving you another advice. So you have to take notes now. If you want to lose a lot of weight, just don't fucking eat.
Don't eat.
Okay, yeah, don't eat.
Exactly.
That's what
The
it
Dima
is.
diet.
Who does
That's
fuck?
genius.
Isn't that interesting that these answers from experts and from studies are so fucking boring and nothing like you will hear from these celebrities who are trying to sell you, the perfect diet and the perfect whatever.
No, it's not a problem. They can release a book how not to eat, or to make a programs of how not to eat or eat less.
They have.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah. So yeah, health.
They can
What
invent
else?
some kind of devices which block your mouth or something that you cannot put food inside.
And you
All
have
this
to
weird
pay for
stuff.
it.
Or some pills that just make you not hungry.
Yeah.
I think those are there.
Yep.
There's a new market, I think. New
Or
possibilities.
an application, that will put ads, just teaching you how to eat healthy, but gives you the same advice though with advertising. So
Yeah.
many busy solutions.
Or they can make a piece, for example, that you eat, and they reduce your sense of appetite, of eating.
Will make you vomit. We make food that makes you vomit.
Yeah, also.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you pay for the
Disgusting.
food, and you pay for the pills. Great.
I like it.
We'll make a business out of it.
Hit us, Cody, with more negative news.
More negative news. Oh wait, negative news. Oh, not this one.
No. Put any kind of news there.
They're all kind of.
You have positive news?
They're all kind of good now. It's like neutral and like good. So there is no gay gene. There is no straight gene. Sexuality is just as complex.
That's news that I really like this kind of things. I'm triggered a bit by such things because I'm triggered a bit about people who say that others are born gay or are born lesbians or straight or whatever, And this was the biggest study up to date. It was like 100 times bigger than any study before. So keep that in mind. They analyzed the genes of over 400,000 people. And what they realize, surprise, motherfuckers, what they realize is that looking at the genes, you cannot predict who is gay, who is straight, who is lesbian, who is whatever. No fuck. I mean, you cannot predict height if you look at the genes, let alone you cannot even define what someone who is gay or lesbian or so forth or straight is. I'm saying that for so long, and I present studies and so forth, and people give me shit about it because they say, "What are you saying now? That I could become gay if I want?" No, motherfucker, you cannot. If you want, like I cannot become like a priest. I cannot become a Muslim just because, But there is no Muslim gene. It's because of my environment making it super hard for me to become a Muslim. In theory, maybe I could become a Muslim. It's very unlikely. So I really love this study because I feel like science is, pun intended, but penetrating the science of this topic. I feel like it's doing a good job more and more, and putting the accent where it should be. They say that if I remember correctly, there is a chance of 9 to 26%. That's the chance that if you look at the genes, you can predict sexuality, which is absolutely nothing. Even when it's 50%, it's almost like chance. It's like you can chance randomly be, okay, I think these 5 people are gay, these 5 people are straight. You may have a better chance than, looking at their genes. And of course, they also say that, genes are complicated. Again, no fuck, because they are really complicated. There are thousands of genes, they said, that goes into maybe pushing this kind of sexuality to biology. But they say that the most important aspect here is the environment. Depends on the environment you grew up. And I'm curious, how this study gets to gets into people's heads, because I think people are very, it's a taboo thing. I think people wrongly project that, oh, if it's not the genes, then I can transform my kid into anything that I want, or I can, if my kid is gay, I can force my kid to become straight. And these are fucked up mentalities promoted by maybe religion, those conversion therapies and shit like that. So what do you guys think about the study? Because I really love the study, to be honest with you. Did you read it?
Yeah, I read the study too, and I think it's fantastic because it, just emphasizes the fact and the importance of the environment in shaping human behavior. And it's always so fucking annoying when it comes to sexuality, because it's such a taboo subject, and people think that they don't choose it, and that they're just born gay and so on, and that it's that they don't have a choice and so on. That they think that if they chose to be that way, then they are, wrongly discriminated, but they don't understand that they don't have any free will, and they didn't choose to be fucking German or 10 meters tall, or what, 10 meters tall, 2 meters tall, whatever the fuck, So nobody really chooses anything, and sexuality is a part of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether it comes from genes or in the environment, there's no reason to discriminate against people because of that. Because either
of course,
way, it's not
but it doesn't fucking come from genes. I'm honestly happy because over the years I got so much shit from people. Like, it was this guy who really helped with TROM translating stuff into Spanish, and because of our book on behavior showcases that there is no such thing as gay gene. He became so trolling and started to troll us on every platform and sending me shitty messages and be like at one point a bit aggressive. And he became against all of the entire project because of this. And I tried to discuss with him let's discuss. We can even discuss more. Make a book about. You can make a book for Tom about the subject. And he's not the only one. And I like that at least now it's science. I'm not saying it anymore. Even though when I said it with scientific studies. But now it's this study that is 100 times bigger than any study before. So I mean, okay, they looked at 500,000 people. You cannot predict sexuality based on genes, and that's not a positive thing. People think that maybe negative. No, it's positive because it means that environment shapes behavior. So we can change environment to produce good behavior. And good behavior can mean gay, straight, lesbian, I don't care about such things, whatever you like to fuck or how you identify yourself within the society. But we can extrapolate and think okay, criminals, from an environment, again, psychopaths, mental illness, you want to fix mental illness, look at the environment and so forth. That's how you solve problems, by going mechanistically to the root of the problem. So sorry, Sophie, I think I interrupted you and then I talked a lot.
No, it was just a very short thing. I'm just happy to have a reference now, because I don't know, it's so obvious, but it's just nice to kind of for people who you talk to, just be just look at this study. It's been.
I think it empowers you.
Yeah, it does.
It empowers you, the human being.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that is why they are cutting the scientific research costs, the money that they give to researchers, because they don't want to empower you with these things that might be the one to keep you ignorant.
Something that I never really fully understood is that there's actually a double standard really in what people are saying about genes and free will. It's people are oh, I'm born this way, and my behavior, I'm born this way and this and that. But then at the same time they're pointing at some people and saying oh, it's your fault. And it's well, say that it was genetic now. How can it be their fault then? And they're also just a victim of whatever, So the whole thing doesn't really make sense logically.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is then that some people who think in that direction, then they say that we need to hopefully one day be able to manipulate and change the genes in order to change behavior. you know, and then they go down that route, which is like, yeah.
That's been tried before, hasn't it?
Change the genes of those with low credit scores.
Yeah. That's what
That's the way
CRISPR's for.
forward.
That's a lot more predictable, actually. Probably the social credit system to see who may become a criminal or not, depending whatever the fuck they do, than genes. Genes are so bad at predicting many, even diseases. Maybe they will become, but for now, they are not. They just are not useful to predict behavior, for example. So yeah, I really enjoy the study because it's such a big confusion when it comes to this. And at least this one, I hope it makes things a bit more clear. So I think that's the positive news. Thank you, Cody.
You're welcome. Alternate day fasting may help you lose weight. That was that's eating whatever you want day 1, and then day 2 you can have water, black tea, green tea, and that's supposed to be effective.
So this is how to lose weight, huh? Yeah. Again, if you don't eat, of course you will probably lose weight because we are not plants, so we don't extract our energy from the sun. We need food. And if you don't eat food, but there are many people who say you should do this or that. You should fast for 3 days, 7 days, whatever. You have to be careful even with such things, and maybe talk to a doctor to see what they recommend to you, because it's not as easy as some books may proclaim it to be. I know there are some cases, or is this, yeah, but whatever. I know some examples, but yeah, you can lose a lot of weight, of course, if you go in this extreme kind of way, but do it safely. That's the article about. Do it safely. Ask your GP, whatever, doctor.
And then Apple changes the way it listens to your Siri recordings following privacy concerns. Wow.
Why are they doing that, Cody?
Why are they doing that? Well, I guess some people have concerns about the stuff their real people are listening to, and getting a lot of interesting things and personal things, conversations between your doctors and patients, loved ones.
Yeah, because you know that Apple is bragging about the fact that, we are not like Google. We don't collect data. We sell you a service. We sell you privacy. Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't sell the data to advertisers, but you still use the data to create products and make better consumers. I think in this case, it was discovered that they collect a lot more data than they said, and they had to be like, we're going to change this shit. And I'm wondering how many things they do that they are not discovered.
Yeah, we're always playing catch up.
No, it's a bad apple.
It's a bad apple.
All the others, they're great, and they really care about their users.
Yeah. It's a bad apple. Just one.
Yeah, it was just this month. Google and Amazon just had to change their policies on the same thing, and it's just all these.
They are getting better, huh?
Yeah, I don't get how people are so willing to have that Alexa or and they spend $50 on a speaker or something. That's like, hey, I'm always gonna be here. Yeah, always. I'm always listening.
Now with that sexy microphone of yours, you sound very
you like it.
Exactly.
See, this is what OK Google could do for you, Theo. Let me help you. Right?
Yeah, I don't understand either, why people want. I mean, I understand why they want because of the advertising shit. But to me, it's super creepy to have this listening all the time, just because they were trying to sell me all kinds of shit, and what the fuck it's not even useful. I think but what about phones then? Who have these features of
Imagine you have an Alexa with Cody's voice on it.
What do you think, Theo? We could do a custom little setup here, my friend. Great.
And then you have Mark Zuckerberg, I don't remember his name, damn it, the Facebook owner, who Mark Zuckerberg, who basically his child, he bought the whole block of houses.
Oh, Mark Zuckerberg.
so that his child could live freely without anyone watching him, and he don't buy him any gadgets, electronic gadget, because we don't want him to stay online or something like that. So
Sounds like
and
some
then-
privacy.
It doesn't use Facebook.
Yeah,
wish
you're
to
talking
buy
about you're talking about when he like bought like 4 houses around his house just to clear the area to have some privacy.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he buys Instagram to have even more privacy, so he controls all of the and WhatsApp. And now everything is
It's
just
all for his privacy.
he was scared, because
It all
Instagram was
makes sense
tracking
now.
him.
He really cares about his privacy.
Yeah, well, we can transform this TROM-Cast into a stand-up.
I
We
think
can
so.
write some stuff and
That'd be fun.
Yeah, little prep work.
Yeah.
it's better like that without prep work, actually.
Yeah. On the fly.
So no more news.
No more bad and or good news. That's all you gave me this week.
Well, if anyone has any news, I have one news.
You have a news?
The news that we are going to release a really cool like a web page that it mirrors TROMsite.com, and anyone can translate it. So everything can translate everything, like videos and books, and everything. They can take full control. So I'm super happy. It's done basically. I'm just maybe I'll release it today, maybe tomorrow, but I'm super excited about that. So we are going to make a live video here to explain how people can do that, and it's super duper cool.
Damn. Oh yeah.
In the chat here, sorry, did you want to say something else about the illusion page?
Tell me what's the chat?
Okay, no, Wilson was just saying to suggest to talk about the difference between human nature and human behavior. I think we wanted to do that a while ago.
Yeah, TROM-Cast talk.
We made some TROM-Cast about that, I think. We have some books about that. We also want to make a...
Bless you.
Did we do a TROM-Cast on that?
Yeah, about human behavior. We made it about human behavior. And I also want to make a big fucking book about like human nature, to call it like that, and analyze human behavior from all kinds of perspectives. But I think we did about human behavior and so-called human nature. Yeah, we did one.
Yeah, it was like
sure,
episode 6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere around there.
But the time where we were young.
Yeah, very.
Long time
It was years ago.
Years
Take a
ago,
look,
yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah, so he can read that book and the TROM-Cast about. Yeah, so yeah, we are back with TROM-Cast. Maybe we'll do this every week. I was busy with stuff, others were busy with stuff, but we like this. We like to do this.
Yes, we do.
No, I don't really like you guys.
Oh, jeez.
I'm kidding.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Because we like you, Sophie. So
Yeah.
what the fuck?
I also like you.
Give back to the community.
Or else what? Is it a trade?
Or else you won't be able to participate.
Yeah, there's
How about that? Yeah, or we are going to lower your video quality.
and your social credit score.
We can silence you.
It's funny
I haven't
that at
been
one point
saying
someone
anything.
proposed to me to make a Trom coin, like a coin for Trom project, and he was very into
Good
that.
idea.
He was very into that. So I think I missed that opportunity because it was back in 2000 something, 13 or something.
So someone in
What
Russia
was
made
it
like
for?
a Venus coin.
Oh wow.
Venus project, right?
Like a Venus project coin. It wasn't involved in the Venus project, it was some random.
No,
Because
what
of the
are these
confusion.
coins
You know?
for?
Yeah, exactly.
What are these coins for?
Like just crypto.
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
What they're for? We'll find a way. to
Yeah,
use them.
exactly. Just make the coin and then worry about whatever it's for later.
Make a really sick trade-free event, like free food.
Yep.
Using coins.
Wait a second.
You have to get free
Trade
coins
free coins for
to
everybody.
exchange it for free food.
Yeah. Trom coin. It's such a great name, Trom coin.
It is.
Exactly, yeah. Tron coin from Tron. You have to participate. You want to participate to the TROM-Cast? 3 Tron coins. You know. We'll send you the password through email.
Well, the exchange rate for Trom coin to Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay, so if everything is, we are almost like 2 hours on the
158.52.
exactly 2 hours. Huh?
If you
Yeah.
stretch it out another 60 seconds, which I think we most definitely could, we'd hit 2 hours.
We can. We can stretch it just by staying like that. We're waiting for you to
Everybody
end.
nod and smile.
Yeah, so this is the 30th TROM-Cast. So we do this for almost like 8 to 9 months or something like that.
Yep.
We do this for quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite cool, you know? It's more than a hobby, apparently. If you do it more than 8 months, maybe. It's something serious. So other people, please, participate if you want. As you can see, we make jokes and we are very friendly. We are not like even if you want to discuss something like it's against Rom or whatever we discuss about, that's even more interesting sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we always
definitely-
speak about the same.
Yeah, we all have the same.
Any topic.
We need someone who disagrees with us.
Somebody should disagree. Yeah.
You're right.
It used to be, it used to be Dima, but now he's getting soft, so he's more.
I
like
just
us.
started to pretend I
grinding them
disagree.
We need someone else.
Someone's gonna
Because-
come on next week and be like, "Did you guys know that being gay is genetic?"
Yeah.
Oh,
My
actually,
pastor
please
just
come.
told me.
If you want to discuss about this, email us, and surely we will discuss that. We will discuss if you really want. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, but bring your best weapons.
Fight us. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying, Theo. In the TROM-Cast, you're calling people to say, "Come fight me."
Yeah, come.
Yep.
Fight me on the
It's not a
internet, bro.
fight, just don't worry. Whoever wants to, but it's not a fight. We are going
Yeah.
to be like a discussion. We'll try to create a discussion out of it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're
Okay.
coming, if you're going to pick a fight with us, we have Cody. So
Yeah.
What is he gonna do? Throw poo at the person?
You never. Some people don't like that, Sophie. So I don't know.
have we
I'm
got
kinda into
Alexio
it.
somewhere in the chat?
No, I'm kidding. Some people are.
This is the after party discussion.
Yeah, we're just supposed to wait and then. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, we can close this TROM-Cast,
yeah.
and then we can spend a few.
Yeah, keep your conversation private.
We're not ashamed.
I'm not, but maybe people might be bored or something.
People
They're
might
like,
be
"What are we
docking our
discussing?"
social credits right now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Oh,
Are we done?
2 hours and 2 minutes. I mean, okay, I'm closing the stream right now. So, yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye.